Hello, Radiant One, and welcome to the Golden Frequency, the show and podcast sharing wisdom, experiences, tools, and knowledge for and from the new era, weaving the worlds of seen and unseen, spiritual and practical, magical and mundane. I'm your host, spiritual business coach, energy alignment method mentor, catalyst, and facilitator, Maria Saraphina. I serve soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, business owners, Magdalene's Rising, and golden great keepers wanting to grow and expand from within, as well as lead with love in business and life. If you've yet to join my sacred newsletter community of Radiant Ones here to support the unveiling, the awakening, transformation, and healing of all through the lifting of the frequency and the vibration of our realm, personally and collectively, I invite you to join us. Go to mariasarafina.com/DCIA. You'll also receive my free Divine Clarity and Inspired Action Guide, which I've created for you. Divine Clarity and Inspired Action is designed to help you connect deeply with your divine feminine essence of gnosis, wisdom, knowledge, and intuition, as well as activate your divine masculine essence of action, creation, foundation, expansion, and building, so that you may experience the satisfaction and liberation that comes from bringing to life that which you're here to birth, while being, doing, and living your soul's divine purpose. On my website, you'll also find show notes, transcripts, and previous episodes. Know that I always encourage you to listen with an open heart and an open mind, and take only what serves you and leave the rest. It is my deep honor, my great pleasure, and joy to share this episode with you. Here is today's episode. Hello, Radiant One, and a very big and a very warm welcome into today's episode of The Golden Frequency. I am super excited and thrilled to be sharing this with you. There seems to be this theme that's coming up for me ever since I've started this podcast, is that whenever there's a theme or an episode or a topic that's coming in, it starts to just stir within, and then Queenie, my cat, will wake me up really early in the morning, and I can't fall back to sleep because it's bubbling within me. So I don't know if that's gonna be the way forward, but I'm digging it. So I'm absolutely receiving it and loving it that way. So today is going to be about today is inspired by a client. As well as my own personal journey, as well as transformations that I've made and support that I give my clients, and also a shift that I see in general that is quote unquote necessary or occurring for a lot of people, and if it hasn't occurred for those of us who are soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneurs, Magdalene's Rising, the Golden Grid Keepers, then at some point it will. Before we dive in, I want to highlight that this, while it may seem that it's for quote-unquote spiritual business, it's really both for, of course, for your business, for your marketing, your promotion, your social media, the way that you I don't want to say conduct yourself, but the way that you communicate. But it's also about, it's just as much about your personal, private way of quote unquote communicating. So if you're someone who either doesn't have a business or have just started, or may never be someone who's, you're only here because you dig me and you dig what I share, and you don't necessarily want a business or have a business, then know that this is absolutely something that is valuable for you as well, just in general. And the topic is love-based marketing and communication. It is, I've mentioned before the 7 initiations, and I will do an episode on them at some point, and going deeper into them, but it's one of the things that I see in terms of it overlaps a lot of the different initiations, but it goes into like I said, the way that we communicate and how we sell, how we serve, and also it goes into the whole sacred agreements and boundaries and such. So it's really a core pillar in a lot of different things. when it comes to both spiritual business and communication. So this was, and when I say the thing that I want to share or talk about, like I said, is love-based marketing and communication. And one of the things that happen when you may be living, being, and doing from a space of love, and you may have shifted your way of being in the world. However, at least for me, this was one of the steps that came further down along the road when I became more aware or more conscious, is that the way that we speak our words, the way that we write our newsletters, our blog posts, our sales pages, our launching communication, all of these ways of marketing ourselves, and also although the ways of communicating can be based either in fear and or love. And when it can also be both. When you're on the path, there can be tweaks that still need to happen, but it happens. You've most likely done the work. You've shifted your perspective from a place from fear to love. However, as we have been quote unquote conditioned in the old paradigm, patriarchal way of doing things, especially the old paradigm way, then there is a lot of push and forcing and coercing. There's a lot of I need to have in order to, and doing from that space of what I see as ultimately at its core fear. And I remember this was, I'm going to go back probably 2016 or somewhere around that, where I began having that conscious shift. And it was based in that I knew that I had awoken to love is the way, and love was the way that I wanted to do things and is the way that I'm doing things. Yet there was something, it felt like there was something that was off. And the old way of the old principles, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it until quote unquote a veil was lifted. Again, whenever I'm sharing stuff, it's not about something that you're not, it's about something that you already are, but opening your eyes to be able to see it. One of my everyday prayers is one of those parts is open my eyes so that I might see. And allowing yourself to be in that space of surrender, sort of, but also willingness to be able to see things from a different perspective. And like I said, for me, I think this was back in 2016 where I began seeing how I was being from a space of love. However, the way that I was communicating, especially through emails and my website, wasn't fully aligned. There was a dissonance. It wasn't fully aligned with that. And there's no shame or blame or guilt. Please don't judge or anything. It's just a matter of, as we awaken, we dissolve more fear, moving into that space of love. And so this was, like I said, this is inspired. Like it's something that it's interesting how something that you've now incorporated and have been working with for a very long time becomes so second nature that you don't really notice it until it's contrasted. And this was recently contrasted by a beautiful client of mine who was sharing a Facebook post that they had put up. And this was in French, because we communicate in usually in English, but they're French, or they communicate in French. And I have a past in Paris many years ago. And so I am able to still read and speak a little bit of French. And so I'm able to read what she was sending me. She usually sends me stuff in French, so I can read it, and then I'll come back to her in English. And I could see that some of the words were words that I used to use, and also words that I do still see, unfortunately, in a lot of marketing. Luckily, it's less and less in soul-driven, heart-based spiritual businesses, but it's still there because well, you may have been waiting for this very moment to be able to recognize it. And it's words like fighting or combating or pushing through, or my favorite is faking it till you make it, which is not something that I like. It's words that, and be aware. So for example, I am I speak different languages. And so I may be able to see the in different languages. And so if you're bilingual, trilingual, whatever, be aware of it, that you can see it. You may be able to see it in one language, but maybe not in another language. So I want you to be on the outlook for this. But it's literally words that are, for example, if you have a healing business, do you want to promote yourself or your services through fighting? My favorite is fighting cancer, and in that is fear-based communication, the way that I see it. Again, as always, take what serves you and leave the rest. My purpose here is to lift the veil so that you might be able to see how that is in your business. Because if we have a love-based, soul-driven, heart-based, spiritual business, but our communication, whether it be on our website or through our emails or Facebook posts, social media, all of this, if that is based in fear, there's a dissonance. And then people might be able to understand what you're doing, but what you're communicating is off. So there's a misalignment. And so it's important to bring that back into alignment. Something else is within the marketing world, there is what's called the psychological triggers. And I think that there are 18 in total. I can't remember. I'm not exactly sure how many there actually are, but some of them has to do with, a deadline. I'm not sure if these are the right words for them, but it's like a deadline. There is quantity. There are these quote unquote psychological buttons that we can quote unquote push in order for someone to want to invest in us or to buy. And I'm not necessarily against using psychological triggers in terms of a deadline. If a deadline is doors are closing and if you want to come on board, now's the time. You can do that coming from a space of love and being in service. I remember I did this a few years back when I had a program that I was putting out. I sent an email on the morning when the doors were closing, said literally, the doors will now close in 1 hour. I'm going into session. If you want to come, if not, don't worry. And I, in my communication, always leave it up to people to check with themselves, to listen within, because there's another way that people are doing this, and that is by literally pushing buttons such as not only are they fear-based, but they can be trauma triggering. They could be what was the word? They can be like wounding. They can be, and so if that is like, you will literally die unless you buy this program or purchase this service or this app or this book or whatever it is, if you're promoting that from that space of fear in terms of pushing, and the product that you're selling is a love-based product, can you see how that is out of resonance? One of the people that I've seen do this to do the love-based marketing really, really well done is Marianne Williamson. The way that she is promoting her stuff, I want to say I haven't followed her promotions in a while, but I have seen examples from her where it's been clear that it has come from a space of love and not from if you don't buy this, then your cat's gonna die or your head will explode or your life's gonna be miserable forever. Like that's not what I've seen. And again, if you're a soul-driven, heart-based spiritual entrepreneur and you're promoting from that space, and you're promoting a love-based product from that space, Can you see the misalignment? And also that might ultimately bringing people that you may not necessarily resonate with in your services because you've been triggering all of their wounds. And so if you're coming from a space of, if you're using a deadline, again, if you're using the deadline as an uplifting tool, like this is true, there is going to be this deadline, I do not know when it's coming back, then that's totally fine. Just notice the rest. How are you amping it up to the point where there's such a frenzy, which I know is a buzz, but I just don't like it if it's not coming from a space of love. And I've seen people do this from a space of love. So it is possible to come from a space of love. Another psychological trigger is the amount of seats. Like if you have a program, there's only a certain amount available. That's totally fine. Again, it's okay to be telling people like there's this amount of people, like spots in this program. And if you want to, again, look out for the wording. I'm just going to see. So, also in terms of like, if we look at this from a personal communication standpoint, think about the people that you're having relationships with, whether it be your family, your coworkers, your colleagues, your partner, whoever it is. Notice how are you wording things? Are they coming from a space of love or are they coming from a space of fear? And I understand that that in closer relationships, triggers are bound to happen and things are bound to come up. I have recently opened the free guide, the energy alignment method, which is the method that I use to release emotions, feelings, triggers. I use that to look at things, and you can go to mariasarafina.com/EAM to get it. It's a free, there's a video, there's the transcription, and there's a guide that will take you through the 5 steps of EAM to release that. So you can use that as a tool. Then I wanted to mention that how in the English, and I don't know how this is in other languages, but in English, which is not my native language, Danish is my native language, but English is it's not my native language. But in English, like it's literally in the word spelling, like creating a spell. You can create a spell with your words, and my invitation to you is through this episode to have you do a review of, is my spelling, is my spell casting, is the way that I am putting things out into the world coming from a space of fear, or is it coming from a space of love? And again, no judgment. If you're recognizing yourself in this and you're saying, oh boy, and you're coming from that space of fear, great. You have the opportunity and the ability to transform that. It will require some work. There's brilliant copywriters and people out there who are doing, who are teaching from that space in terms of what words to use and how to shift it. And there are more and more coming out, more and more who are seeing that how it doesn't serve people to be constantly triggering their wounds and keeping things stuck in some sort of victim cycle that's then causing them to purchase with you. Yeah. I'm just checking my notes to see if there's anything that I have left out. As always, there's probably more that's going to come up, but really, like, I want to leave you with this. I have an assignment for you. Whenever my clients know this, they come into my sessions and they get assignments, and it's always from the space of, should you choose to accept it? Some who are just as old as I am will know that that's a nod to an old TV series. So the assignment is, I want you to take a moment and to reflect upon your communication, whether it be in your business or in your personal life, and see whether or not that's coming from a space of fear or from a space of love. Now, the thing is that as you do that, this might be really vulnerable and it might bring up stuff for you. Again, that's where I invite you to download the free guide guide that I've created for you, the energy alignment method, I take you through the 5 steps to releasing that. So you're able to release if there is guilt or shame or embarrassment or whatever it is that comes up for you in that process. You can go ahead and download that. I've already mentioned the link, and I'll put it in the description as well. Other than that, I would love to hear what is the greatest insight that you've had through this, and also where do you see, and this is not to be a shame, like a blaming game, but where do you see that you've may have not done this? Like, where have you followed the old paradigm of communication? Oh, there's one final thing that's coming up for me, and that is, I remember that when I began this, one of my fears were that then nobody would buy from me, that nobody would buy what I was selling, and that I would need to push them into that sale. And yes, I do. Well, that's in the beginning, I did find that it seemed quote unquote more difficult. On the other hand, those who came in were far more aligned and far more in resonance with me and what I do from that when they were buying from that space of when I was communicating, because I was communicating truly what was in me. And it's also, I see this as a limiting belief. Had I had the energy alignment method back then, that's something that I definitely would have released in terms of that. And as I've aligned my business in every area of my business, what I now see is that clients are flowing in, inspiration's flowing in, communication is flowing far easier and with less involvement from my side. I work less now than I did 5 years ago, and I make a lot more than I did. And I understand that there is a period in any business where we are busting our butts with love to get things into the world. I'm in that process myself. I don't think it ever stops. We will have, I see it as birthing, contractions, and then releases. There's these moments where we're in the I don't want to call it the grind, but we're in that creation, which can be really, really all-encompassing. And then there's those moments when we're not. And I'm personally, at the time of this recording, I have a list of things, so I know that I'm going to be in that for a while. But at the same time, I always take my self-care very seriously. And furthermore, having done that work, especially the energetic work with the energy alignment method, the things seem to quote unquote happen easier. And that's also to do with all of the dissolving fear, expanding, moving through fear and into love as well. So it's a combination of those two things that makes things come to life far easier now than they used to. So there. So like I said, assignment, make a review, go back and look at some of your emails or on your website. Is it based in fear or is it based in love? And number 2, share your insight with us in the comment. I would love to hear from you, because that can inspire more people and it can make it ripple out even further. Love-based marketing and communication. That is what I had for you today. Oh, I wanted to say, if you have a question, you're welcome to also ask it in the comments, and I will look at those and see if there's things that I can answer, and I'll do this to the best of my ability. That is what I had for you today. I love you so much. Have a wonderful day wherever in the world you might be. Bye. Radiant One, I hope today's episode served you well. For all the deeds and details, click the link in the description. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend so that the love shared within this episode through our connection may be amplified and rippled further out into the world. Thank you. I love you.